Last year, while the Chinese mobile device makers were releasing products with the Snapdragon 8 Elite, there's the disappointing Y700 Gen 3, which didn't feature the latest chipset, no TF card slot, smaller battery, and crucially, the screen is slow and unresponsive. However, the new Y700 Gen 4 has a new look. The TF card slot is back with the latest flagship processor, a sharper screen, and a larger battery. Now let's take a closer look at it. Geek Wheels also brings surprises. The Lenovo Y700 Gen 4 is now available on Geek Wheels. For those who are still with Gen 1 or Gen 2, this is definitely a very good upgrade. The Gen 4 doesn't differ much from its predecessors in terms of design. It features a one-piece aluminum body, making the entire back cover complete, both to the touch and to the eye. It's still available in white or black, and although I'm holding the black version, I personally recommend the white. The black version, like the previous model, is prone to fingerprints. On top of that, Lenovo has removed a camera to make it more of a gaming tablet. The thickness of the body has been reduced to 7mm, while not much has changed in terms of weight. It would have been nice to make the camera bump smaller. The body comes with a Type-C port on the bottom and right side, both of which are capable of supporting 68W PPS fast charging. The port on the side supports up to 10 Gbps transfer rates and even has a DP video output. According to our test, it can connect up to a 4K 144Hz display. While it offers a 4K 160Hz option, the display will go black in that case. Also, the Y700 doesn't recognize devices plugged into the USB hub that comes with the monitor at the same time. The USB-C recognizes devices, but it only has a rate of 480 Mbps and doesn't allow for video output. Another thing I really like is the TF card slot, which supports a micro SD card up to 2TB. I inserted a Samsung V30 micro SD card here and tested the read and write speeds. When compared to the built-in UFS storage, the speeds are slow for this SD card. On the front, the screen is still the same 8.8-inch LCD, not the more advanced OLED, but its resolution has been improved a bit with a PPI of 408, and the display is more detailed than the iPad mini. In terms of speakers, I don't think there's much improvement, so here is a comparison.
You don't have to tell us anything, you don't have to say a word, I promise. Just rest. You don't have to tell us anything, you don't have to say a word, I promise. Just rest.
So here's a comparison. We can hear that it has fewer details in the background, like a wind and sand sounds, compared to the iPad mini. While playing music, the sound is a bit harsh. Every hardware on this Gen 4 is, without exception, powerful. It packs a Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, LPDDR5X, 9600 mHz of RAM, and UFS 4.1 flash storage. This is basically the most powerful hardware combo available, so none of its scores are bad. Whether it's a 3D Mark or Geekbench, it gets good scores. But as a gaming tablet, you can't afford to lose frames and lag while you are playing. So we ran 20 consecutive rounds of a performance test using a 3D Mark, and the Y700 was 77% stable against the wildlife test at a 2K resolution. If we move up to 4K, it drops to 67%. Now let's do some gaming tests. First up is a Honkai Star Rail running in a golden hour. When we run it at the 25 degrees Celsius room temperature with the performance mode on, the frame rate is nearly perfect. But it was a bit of a power hog here, consuming 10% of the battery in a 15 minutes test. Next, we tried the more difficult game, Wuthering Waves. Right off the bat, the machine ran at 16 watts, which is pretty close to the power consumption we saw during the 3D Mark test. But after about 6 minutes, it started to lag a bit. Occasionally, the frame rate would go back to 60 FPS, but as soon as we hit a complex scene again, the frame rate would still drop. The temperature peaked at 48 degrees, but it was mainly in the center of the bag, so it wasn't too uncomfortable. We also found a few other interesting things during our testing. For example, turning off Lenovo's gaming assistant may result in a better gaming experience. So we tried turning off the game assistant, and let the assistant take over, we found that it performed better than the performance mode, and at the same time, less heat. Also, the Y700 previous generations had a fatal flaw for gamers. While the screen's touch assembly rate was advertised as high, the actual performance was not as good as some flagship phones. However, we found that the Gen 4 performed much better compared to the Gen 3. If you're using an emulator to play a game but have to use a joystick, you can try turning on the peripheral mode and setting up mapping. But if your game or the emulator itself support the joystick, such as Genshin Impact, ZZZ, and Wuthering Waves, then I'd recommend turning it off. Otherwise, it can cause some conflicts, resulting in the joystick being unavailable. The battery has been upgraded to a 29 Wh from the previous 25.3 Wh. It may just add 20 to 30 minutes of playtime. It doesn't use the higher energy density silicon carbide cells. This may sound like a bad news, but it could also be good news. That's because while silicon carbide batteries can achieve a larger battery capacity for the same size, they don't last as long as regular lithium batteries. Still, Lenovo has kept several good settings to optimize battery life to protect the battery. One of the best things about it is the bypass charging. Unlike the OnePlus Ace 5 Pro that needs a stock charger to do that, the Y700 only requires a PD or PBS charger. Charging power hasn't changed much, remaining at 68 watts. In real-world testing, it maxed out at 60 watts, but only for 2 minutes, and reached 80% at 40 minutes, eventually charging to 90% in 61 minutes. If you charge it in a cooler place, say 25 degrees room temperature, it extends the maximum power input to 10 minutes and reaches 80% in 35 minutes, eventually filling up in 58 minutes. But it's a deal that doesn't seem particularly good value. It doesn't charge much faster after all. If you use a third-party charger that only supports the PD protocol, it'll reach 80% after 65 minutes and eventually take 93 minutes to full charge. In terms of battery life, we tested it with the following settings: 1 hour of Honkai Star Rail, half an hour of Wuthering Waves, and 2 hours of movie. Eventually, 22% battery left. In terms of Wi-Fi, it supports Wi-Fi 7. However, due to the impact of China's 6G construction, the Gen 4 only supports up to 160 MHz of bandwidth under Wi-Fi 7. Therefore, its Wi-Fi can only handshake up to 2882 Mbps, while the actual rates can reach more than 2000 Mbps. The launch price of the Y700 Gen 4 is the same as the Gen 3, but this time around, it is more like a gaming tablet. The larger heat dissipation plate and the new chip layout makes it hard to overheat and downclock during gaming. Performance is basically impeccable, and the new screen and the new touch ICs have solved the previous touch latency issues. However, it's not without any drawbacks. The LCD screen, for example, can be a bit outdated against the competitors like the iPad mini or even the future Redmi and Red Magic. It only tops out at 600 nits of brightness. The contrast isn't great, and it even drags down the Y700's battery life to some extent. The Xiaomi Tablet 7 Ultra, for example, which we are testing, is a 14-inch tablet, but the gaming power consumption is lower than that of the 8.8-inch Y700. Okay, now we have talked about all the pros and cons about the Y700 Gen 4. Do you think it's a better gaming tablet now? Leave your thought down below. And if you want to buy it, you can head to Geek Wheels for it. I'm Wolfgang from China. See you next time.